Hi, my name is Mark Kennedy, and today we're going to be talking about local SEO and local pages on your website. So, one of the challenges with local SEO is that Google definitely favors you in certain locations if you have a physical location. So, for example, we're in Brick Township, New Jersey, and I'm going to search for coffee shops. So when I do that, I'm going to get served map listings for Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts who are actually close or in the Brick Township. But what happens if you have a physical location in one town, but you're a plumber, let's say, or a basement waterproofer in another location, and you want to be shown for when people type in your keywords in that area? And if you're not using pay-per-click and you want to take this from an SEO strategy, then there's going to be certain things you have to do to your website to help you accomplish these goals. So for this example, we're going to use basement waterproofing. Okay. So when we search for basement waterproofing in Brick Township, we scroll below the pay-per-click ads here. We're going to see here DryMaster, who is actually has their physical location is in Brick, so they're going to show up well in the map listings for that particular area. Now, one thing to be careful here is that there's a new rule in Google Places that just got implemented within the last couple weeks, and that is if you're a service industry, there's a box in the local map listing where in your interface where you have to check that you are a service company and that you service other areas, so that your actual address will not show up, and that'll help you show up in other areas. So you'll see in this particular example, our address is not showing up even though we're in Brick because we've told Google that we're going to serve other areas. You'll see some people whose address are showing up, they haven't checked that box yet, so they might have a little bit of trouble what they're doing. So in this particular case, DryMaster is a little bit ahead of the game, will have a little bit better results. But anyway, that's something that'll be rolled out and enforced more heavily as Google starts to make more owners aware of this. But in the meantime, when someone searches for basement waterproofing in Brick Township, our listing is showing there despite our address not being there. However, we want to serve other areas like Mount Laurel, which is a town close to Brick, but somewhere we don't have a physical location. Okay, so what happens when we search basement waterproofing in Mount Laurel, New Jersey? So someone's looking for our services in Mount Laurel. We're going to have our pay-per-click ads there, of course. Then we're going to have a YouTube video. But then you're going to see that DryMaster has a local page for Mount Laurel. If you'll notice here, it's not their home page. Their home page was being found for Brick because that's where they're physically located. But now we have to tell Google, hey, we service Mount Laurel. So in order to do that, the strategy is to make a landing page or a local page that says, hey, we service Mount Laurel, so that when someone searches basement waterproofing in Mount Laurel, our Mount Laurel page shows up. So I'm going to take you to this page, and we're going to talk about a little bit about what we did to get this to show up. So if you want to service Mount Laurel or any town, but you don't have an actual physical location there, then one of the things you want to do, as in this example, is make a page. So using this example as Mount Laurel, we made a page talking about our basement waterproofing services in Mount Laurel. So the first thing you're going to do is write some content about Mount Laurel. You definitely just don't want to write local content about how you're in Mount Laurel and how Mount Laurel is great. You definitely want to first focus on your calls to action. So if you'll notice on this page, we still have our phone number up there. We have our address so they know we're in New Jersey. We have our calls to action. We have our BBB listing. We have our contact form on here. So all this, and our phone number again down here. And we talk about why we're the best. And we have our free offers down here, our free generator offer. And all these things, all our calls to action still should be on every local page. That's probably going to be a lot of not unique content, but static content, because that's what works for you. You know what your calls to action are. But then we're going to take these calls to action and these pages and make them unique in other ways. But a lot of mistake I see a lot of people make is that they make a local page and says, hey, we're a painter in Mount Laurel, we're a plumber in Mount Laurel, and that's about it. And that's the wrong way to do it. You still want to have your calls to action on this page, so when someone searches Mount Laurel basement waterproofing and they come to this page, you're not missing the conversion, right? Because the main thing is we want them to call us or fill out our form and set the appointment. So first things first, when you're making a local page, make sure you include all of your things that you think will help best convert that potential visitor into a client or a customer. Then you can start tweaking that landing page for the location you want to serve. So first you want to make your content, make sure it's up to par with the rest of your website, and then it actually focuses on conversion rate optimization. So now that you understand the concept and strategy behind, having local pages, so it's important to have local pages for every area you serve, and we'll talk a little bit more about the strategies and implementation of that in the next video. But I just want you to understand the concept of have a local page for every area you serve. Okay, you're going to have to make it unique so you don't get hit with any duplicate content penalty issues. And again, we'll talk about those tactics in a separate video. But have a local page for every area you serve so that you can be found when people search for your services in different towns than where you're physically located. But don't forget the conversion rate. Don't forget the customer. Don't just make content based that's local. Make content that's good for turning your potential clients into customers and things like that. So we're going to stop here now that you understand the concept. In the next video, we'll talk about the tactics used to make these pages and make them successful.